Hello again. I was trying to figure out another topic to talk about, and I finally settled on something. They're fixing to release the second half of Beware the Batman on Blu-ray, and I wanted to sit and just talk about my feelings about this animated series and about animation in general, and what's going on with it, and where it's really lost its way. And I think this is um, a good way to approach talking about it. For one. Uh, I've always wanted to talk about stuff like this, and I'm taking that chance right now talking about it. Um, I want to talk about the failure that is that show. That show failed. It bombed horribly. Um, they were getting low ratings when it came to Green Lantern. And I don't think Cartoon Network realizes that it was because of, well, partly. It's partly because of this. But the CG thing, it just doesn't sit well with people. It works well for movies and so forth, but when it comes to animated TV series, it doesn't always click. It doesn't always work. Now, I wouldn't necessarily say that it was because it was CG. Not necessarily. I can't help but feel that it was because it was the style of the characters, the way they approached the computer-generated animation. The approach is just horrible. It was the same approach they took with Green Lantern for the most part. And it's just something that doesn't sit well with people. I can't believe they canceled Young Justice to bring us that show. I really wish they would have just stuck with Young Justice. The problem is they're trying to market these shows to children, you know, and shows like Young Justice and before that Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, it was more focused on some pretty dark themes and mature aspects, not mature, inappropriate, bad for children's eyes per se, but it didn't click with children, and that's their main market focus. They're not focused on guys like me. They're not focused on big nerds like me and teenagers and geeks. They're not focused on that. They're focused on the children. They're focused because that's how they make their money. Uh, you go to a store, you have all these toys for kids based off of these things. It's franchising and whatnot. If they can't make $1 on the merchandising, they think it's a failure. They're like, oh, the ratings aren't good enough. Kids aren't watching. Kids aren't paying attention. Yada yada yada. That's not the case. It's just, that's not a let's put it like this. It's not a good way to approach it. If you're just doing this for the money, I miss the days when it was a little more about ratings. But I think that's what happened with Thundercats. I liked it. It was okay. I was irked by some of the choices they made for making the series, and I still prefer the original, but it wasn't doing well merchandising wise. I think the show was doing pretty good, but they kept bouncing the show around and re-showing it at different times, and it just wasn't working. So then they put it on late at night. I think the only people who were paying attention were guys like me who grew up with the original. Today's youth wasn't paying attention. And I don't even think Cartoon Network fully realizes what kind of things that children watch nowadays. Teletubbies. Oh, Teletubbies and, oh God, all those. And I don't really think it's the children's choice. I don't think they're picking these shows, but that's what they're exposed to nowadays. I have a nephew of mine, about yay big. He has a hard time sitting still and watching things, but what he does watch is usually children's oriented, Dora the Explorer, and things like that. But I think they need to stop trying to focus on kids so much. I would love to see a channel that focuses on adults. Not necessarily inappropriately, but just animated things that and I know they have Adult Swim's anime lineup that it happens Saturday nights, I think. That's not good enough. There was an anime network, but it didn't take off. It was only on like Time Warner Cable, I think, at one point or something. I'm not sure, but it didn't fully take off, and it should have taken off. It was a great idea, and unfortunately, as for a lot of things, you can only get really, you have to have the internet to get a lot of things like this now. If I have a complete focus of animation and anime and stuff like that, you really have to have the internet. If you want to watch television shows about technology, you have to have the internet for that. It's sad, but it's true. I miss Tech TV. I love Tech TV. I loved G4. Well, early G4. Later G4 went to hell. But I miss channels like that. Those shows I watched were on those channels. And I miss when, I think every night Adult Swim had an anime block. And for some reason the anime went bye-bye for the most part. And now what do we got? We got NTSSUV, whatever. And I've watched it and it's just retarded. To me it's retarded. To me. Don't shoot me. It's just how I feel about it. I'm not telling you you should think it's retarded, but to me it's just really retarded. And I don't want to hear... This is something that Rich deals with. Rich of Review Tech USA. He deals with this on a daily basis with idiots. There were people jumping him on his Facebook about he needs to stop saying retarded. It's offensive. You shouldn't say retarded. If something's retarded, it's retarded. I'm not talking about a person. I'm talking about a situation. The way something went down is retarded. That means really, really stupid. I'm not calling a person retarded. If somebody has mental issues, I'm going to say they have mental problems. They're having bipolar depression myself. I kind of can. I feel how they feel. So it's just let me say retarded. I'm not talking about somebody who's actually mentally handicapped. I'm talking about a situation that is just retarded. You will never catch me calling someone retarded. I will say a situation is retarded, and this is how it is currently. It's retarded. It's everything. It's the way it's going is retarded. Where was I? I completely lost track of what I was talking about. I was talking about animation, where it's going, and just where it's been. And oh, the shows on Adult Swim are just, a lot of them are really stupid. I have a hard time laughing at them. I'm just like, I don't get it. How is this funny? What was that other show? Heart She Holler? What the hell is going on with that show? It's not funny. 9 times out of 10, it's disturbing. It's just freaking weird. What happened to Adult Swim? What happened to Cartoon Network? All of a sudden, at one point, I'm glad they stopped doing this, by the way. At one point, Adult Swim is doing it now, but at one point, Cartoon Network kept doing this live action stuff, a hole in the wall. And I'm like, why are you doing this? You're Cartoon Network. You're not Nickelodeon knockoff. You're Cartoon Network. I watch Cartoon Network for cartoons. Yes, I'm a full-grown man who watches cartoons. Get over it. I watch cartoons. I like cartoons. I like animation. I like those kind of things. I like comics. If you didn't notice my last shirt that I wore, it's Ghostbusters. I don't know if you've seen the insignia. You probably saw the top of it. Probably saw the ghost head right there on the shirt I was wearing. I'm a big fan of Ghostbusters. I grew up on the real Ghostbusters. I love that show because it didn't talk down to me as a child at first. First season or so, the show did not talk down to you. It made me feel intelligent. It didn't talk to me like I was an idiot kid. No, it didn't do that. It didn't talk like, they didn't talk down to me. I loved the real Ghostbusters. It was a great show. It wasn't inappropriate. It was funny. And, my mouth always goes dry when I talk, sorry. It was a great animated show for its time, and it went on, it should have went longer. That show went to hell when they finally decided, we're going to go from having it be a show that's basically Ghostbusters, a series, and we're going to switch lanes and make it more of a children's show. There were adults, there were parents who were crying, oh, the ghosts are giving my kids nightmares. Seriously? You were giving your kids nightmares? I didn't have nightmares at all. In fact, I had nightmares until I watched Ghostbusters. I watched the animated series, and it put a lot of fears to rest. Because in my mind as a child, the boogeyman had already been taken care of by the Ghostbusters. They sealed him away in that frickin' dimension of his, and we were safe. I was not afraid of the boogeyman after that episode. Sure, he was a pretty creepy looking guy, but I was in awe. And if anybody doesn't realize this, I'm going to let you know now, a lot of 80s animated action shows were technically anime. Technically. A lot of stuff in the late 80s, throughout early 90s, they were animated in Japan. Storyboarded here and stuff, but a lot of stuff was done in Japan. So technically, they were anime. That's probably why if you watch the original first several episodes of Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters, you'll see that there's a lot of anime-like stuff. Watch early anime, early days of anime shows, then watch the real Ghostbusters early on. You'll see similarities in the flow and the way things just animate, and the lighting, and the design of things. You'll just see it. There's that anime thing going on. There's a lot of Japanese influence in the way it's done. But in animation in general, I mean, we've really lost our way. Now we're trying too hard to have things be anime. That's another thing that I didn't like about Thundercats, the new one. They were deliberately making it as anime as possible. I just don't think that worked. The original Thundercats, if I'm not mistaken, they were done by an animation studio in Japan, but they weren't trying to be anime. They were just doing a show. They were doing everything based off sketches and stuff, and that's what they were going with. But it's as if they deliberately, with the newer Thundercats, it's like they literally were just, they were going as anime as possible, and I think that's the wrong direction. I think having a Japanese animation studio do this stuff is one thing, and it's a great thing, but then deliberately making it anime is another thing entirely. But there were a lot of great animated shows growing up, a lot of which didn't make me feel like an idiot. And I like shows that make me not feel like an idiot. I feel bad for today's youth, because it talks to them like they're idiots, like they're learning. And why? I mean, I feel for today's youth. I feel for the children of today, the shows they have to endure. I don't have kids of my own, but if I had a child, I would just buy all kinds of classic animated shows from my youth, and we wouldn't be watching actual TV very much. If he wanted to watch something animated, I would take a DVD of the real Ghostbusters and plop it in and say, watch that. No commercials. It's a good show. Enjoy it. I would put in the original Generation 1 Transformers. I loved the original theme was really great. That's another thing that bugged me about Thundercats. The theme was just totally botched and short. There was no intro. That is what really made it so epic. You knew from the intro, right when it started in the original, how epic it was going to be. You knew what you were in for, and it was just awesome. You had a mix of actual, like, brass instruments and stuff, and then that rock guitar that just started playing. You were like, that's awesome. You know what you were getting into, and it was awesome. It was great. The newer one was trying too hard to be Hollywood orchestra background stuff, and it would just... No, I think in general the 80s did a lot of things right. Leading up through we had a lot of great shows in our youth, and I feel like, and this is something I wanted to cover before, I'm going to cover it a little bit, but just for a little bit. I feel like quality has gone down. Rather than making great art, great entertainment, it's about making a buck. It's too much about making a buck. I feel like that's why music has gone downhill. It's whatever's cheapest to create and can make money. Maybe that's why we have so much dubstep as far as music goes, and animated shows are flash animation. Total Drama, Island, Action, whatever. I hate those shows. They're just horrible, horrible shows. Horribly animated. I don't really care too much for Johnny Test. It looks like it might be flash animation too. I could be wrong. A show recently that I started watching that I think it's pretty funny. It's Clarence. I think that's funny. I like to be humored. I like to laugh. I like Gumball too, and I miss Chowder. That was a good show. It was funny. It was creative. It was cute. Gumball tries to carry that on quite a bit. So Gumball's pretty good. Regular Show sucks. I would love to see Regular Show just get canceled. It's just not very it draws a lot of inspiration from the 80s, quirky things from the 80s. If you watch it carefully, there's a lot of things that's just right out of the 80s. Even a season collection, whatever, DVD box set that they're advertising right now on Cartoon Network looks like some commercial for something from the 80s. They got little triangles, pink triangles in the background and everything. I'm like, the show sucks. It shouldn't be called a regular show. It should be called Sucky Show. And I don't know, maybe it would be better with a better animation, better studio doing the animation. I don't know, but you could tell who used to do that show. Who does that show used to do Flapjack, and I actually liked Flapjack. Don't know what it was about Flapjack. I think it was the intro opening and everything, and I don't know why they canceled that. Maybe parents started complaining, oh, the candy, they're teaching our kids that it's okay to be eating sweets and stuff, and I don't know, it's retarded. There it is again. As in the situation. Don't go telling me, oh, it's insulting. I take insult to you calling something retarded. I'm not calling a person retarded. What the hell's wrong with you? No, this is how I insult somebody who's being stupid. I ask them this one simple question. What the hell are you smoking? It must be some good stuff. Can you give me your dealer's number? Because that's the kind of thing I say about a person. I don't ask if a person, I don't say a person's retarded. I wonder what they're smoking. I wonder what possesses them to think the way they do. I don't call a person retarded. It's just not right. Calling a situation or an inanimate object retarded because you're frustrated with it, that's one thing. But you're not going to catch me talking down to a person and telling them they're retarded. That's just not right in my book. Okay. This thing is almost 17 minutes long now, and I think I've really talked about what I wanted to talk about. And I don't know if it'll change anything. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I feel like animation's gone downhill. I don't watch a lot of live action stuff, but I am considering watching that new show, Gotham. It takes place before Bruce Wayne becomes Batman and everything. Everybody's much younger. Before they start doing the things that they do, and get an early glimpse at it. See, as a comic book nerd, I'm very interested in it. I have other topics I want to talk about, and I'm going to talk about them next time. I'm going to make another video, and I'm going to talk about stuff. I'm going to keep talking about stuff because I like to talk. I have nobody to talk to, and I'm not looking for pity. I'm just saying, I want to vent this stuff. I want to share it with people, and I don't have any friends around here to take interest with anything I'm interested in, so that's what happens when you live in the sticks. When you live in the sticks, you don't have very intelligent people around you. I'm not going to go into detail. Rednecks. I'm sorry. Yeah, I almost stopped there. 18 minutes. Wow. All right, so have a good one. Bye.